Hello, good morning everyone. Hi Ma'am Joyce. Hello, good morning. Kamusta kayo? How was your weekend? Okay, nag-thumbs up si Jose Rafael. How about the others? Good morning. Okay, so it was rainy daw sa Cebu. Okay, good morning. So ready na ba kayo for the next part of your biochemistry? By the way, I don't know if you, kung napansin ninyo, may change of schedule tayo. So please take note of this. August 10, tomorrow, same pa rin, we will have the Clinical and Hospital Dietetics Administration. August 11, your Medical Nutrition Therapy 1 or MNT 1. On August 12, instead of having the Medical Nutrition Therapy 2, we will have a free day. Okay, so may break. And then on August 13, doon tayo magme-Medical Nutrition Therapy 2. Okay, again, August 12, free day. August 13, Medical Nutrition Therapy 2. August 14 will be your NBCD long exam. That's an asynchronous long exam. So August 14 and August 16, discussion of the NBCD long exam. Clear? Can I see a thumbs up if nakuha yung schedule natin? Okay. May nag-message. Sir Ian, yes, malamig. Yes, Saturday yung long exam. But don't worry, that's asynchronous. You can take it at your own pace. Okay? Sige, so to officially start our Nutritional Biochemistry Part 2 discussion, first let me introduce to you to our speaker. Let me just share my screen. All right, so our research speaker for today is Dr. Lisel M. Atienza. Hold on, nag-ano lang yung lights ko. Anyways, so our research person for today is Dr. Lisel M. Atienza. She is an associate professor at the Institute of Human Nutrition and Food, College of Human Ecology, University of the Philippines, Los Baños. Dr. Atienza graduated cum laude with the degree of BS Nutrition in UPLB and was the second placer in the 2001 Nutritionist Dietitian Licensure Examination. She completed her PhD in Human Nutrition last 2016 in the same university. She was a visiting research scholar from 2014 to 2016 at the School of Food Science and Nutrition, College of Agricultural, Human, and Natural Resources at Washington State University, USA. Of course, Dr. Atienza have been and is involved in different researches and extension activities in the field of nutrition. He is currently the principal investigator of the study in vivo investigation of the effects of Philippine DUHAT on biomarkers of obesity and associated metabolic disorders such as dyslipidemia and hyperglycemia. Dr. Lisel also received awards from her research endeavors such as the 2014 Best Paper Award by the Philippines Network of Educators on Environment, 2018 Best Poster Award by the Kapisana Kimika ng Pilipinas, Southern Tagalog, and the 2020 Abstract Award, Emerging Leaders in Nutrition Science, finalist by the American Society for Nutrition. Of course, Dr. Lisel has accumulated a list of non-ISI and ISI publications. She is also an active member of various professional organizations and honor society. She is currently a board member of the Philippine Society of Nutritionist Dietitians Incorporated. So everyone, to discuss the second part of the nutritional biochemistry, specifically the micronutrients, let us all welcome Dr. Lisel M. Atienza. Dr. Lisel. Ma'am Lizelle? I cannot hear you, ma'am. Or ako lang ba?
Unmute.
Hello,
Hindi.
ma'am? Yes,
Naka-unmute
ma'am.
ako. Okay.
I can hear
Ayan.
you
Good
now.
morning to all. Ma'am Marge, good morning. Sir Ian, Ma'am
Morning.
Joyce, dito pa ba si Ma'am Resi and other members of FNDRC team. And especially to our reviewees. Thank you for choosing FNDRC. And I hope that you're all doing well right now while you are reviewing for the licensure examination. Sayang at hindi namin kayo ma-cater ng face-to-face, no? Masaya sana ng face-to-face at makaspend time kayo sa UPLB. Kaya lang, given our situation, um, we have to do it online, and thank you so much for ano daw kayo, still participating actively in the previous session. So I hope na for today ay ma-learn natin ang o ma-review natin yung mga concepts and important information that are covered under the major topic micronutrient. Ayan, kumusta naman ang mga alumni namin, no? Ayan, so nakikita ko ang inyong messages in the chat box. And for those coming from other universities, welcome. You are very welcome sa UPLB, especially dito sa FNDRC. Okay? So, start na ako. I-share ko lang ang aking screen. Okay. Nakikita nyo ba ng malinaw sa screen?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so under micronutrients, we have vitamins, no, minerals, and we will also cover water. So ngayon, sabi ko nga, this is just a review. Hindi natin madidetalye ng sobra ang bawat konsepto. Padadaanan natin ang lahat ng posibleng or possible na kaya nating daanan or i-review. And then, tulad ng sa mga nangyari in the past, no, yung mga key concepts ay madadagdagan pa ng additional information if you will review it independently. Okay? So, at least mag-guide kayo kung ano ba ang covered under this major topic. So, to start, have you ever felt like you are a vitamin? Paki-type in naman sa sa chat box na-feel nyo ba before na parang vitamin kayo? Any participation from the group? From the big group? Bakit kaya tinanong to ni Lizelle, ni Ma'am Lizelle? Ayan. Dati I felt like I was a vitamin. Ano ba yung vitamin? Eh, kasi yung vitamin maliit lang eh. May not that be that important, sabi nga ng iba, compared with macronutrients, 'di ba? So na-feel mo na ba na parang insignificant ka? You feel like left out ka most of the time. You feel na hindi ka as popular as others. O kaya naman ay you are not as good as others. Ayan. So let me tell you, no, before I start, that we are all important. We are all fearfully and wonderfully made. And we are all good, no? Kaya nating gawin ang best natin in everything. So don't feel like you are just insignificant being, no? So, yun lang naman ang aking pang-open dito sa topic na vitamins. Okay ba yon? Thumbs up naman kayo kung natuwa naman kayo. Okay. So, vitamins, ayan. Sabi natin, vitamins are essential nutrients because without them, hindi naman masusuportahan ang growth and development, and deficiency can develop, di ba? When they are not taken in sufficient amounts. And vitamin are also called accessory growth factors because sabi nga they must be supplied in the diet in just small amounts, no, relatively smaller than the macronutrients na carbohydrate, fats and proteins. Kaya sila tinawag na accessory growth factors. Maliliit pero kailangan. Like accessories, no, kailangan yan, nakaka-enhance yan ng hitsura or pampaganda, 'di ba? Lalo na sa mga girls. And then they are organic compounds because they contain the element carbon in addition to other elements like hydrogen and oxygen. And they do not provide energy. So alam naman natin yan, di ba? That they are not a source of energy. They do not contain calories and they will not make us fat. Okay? But their important roles are as coenzymes. When we say coenzymes, they are partner of enzymes in order to facilitate a metabolic process. And they have precursors. When we say precursors, the sometimes they have a different form in food with that is present in the body. Sometimes the precursors are in inactive form and they have to be activated in the body. Okay? So my question is, how many B vitamins are there in B complex? Paki-type nga ng answer nyo in the chat box at the count of 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. May sagot na ba? How many vitamins in the B complex? Okay, 12. 12 ba ang vitamins in the B complex? What is the correct answer? Congratulations kay Felipe. Ano ba yung nickname mo? Ano? Kay Jose. Ay, Jose ba? Hindi. Eto, who got 8? PUP kay Glidel. Ayan, meron pa. Sino pa 8? Yeah, there are 8. There are 8 B vitamins in the B complex, di ba? We have the B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B7, and B9 and B12. Okay, so i-discuss natin yon one by one. I-review natin yan one by one later. Okay, and then these are the classifications of vitamin. Okay, so meron diyang water-soluble and fat-soluble. Alam ko na familiar na kayo with this, no? Pero we have to review this listing. So, under the water-soluble, there are 9 vitamins. One is a non-B complex, which is the ascorbic acid or vitamin C. And the B complex, again, as I've mentioned, are the 8 B vitamins. Under the fat-soluble classification, there are 4. Madali lang i-memorize yan because you just have to memorize the acronym ADEC. So, vitamin A, D, E, and K. So, ginawa ko itong presentation na ito para mas madali nyong ma-recall for quick recall purpose. Okay? So, ano ba ang kaibahan ng fat-soluble with water-soluble in terms of characteristics? So, in terms of solubility, as their name implies, so water-soluble meaning they are soluble in water and fat-soluble meaning they are soluble in fat and other fat-containing materials or reagents. Since soluble in fats, ang mga fat-soluble vitamins such as ADEC, okay, if they are taken in excess of what the body needs for a day, then they are stored in the adipose tissues. Na-store sila sa mga fat cells and fat tissues in the body. And so, if that is the case, then they are not required to be taken on a daily basis. Ayun. Unlike the water-soluble vitamins that are easily lost together with the urine, no, and so they are not stored in the body, hence they must be taken on a daily basis. In terms of absorption, fat-soluble vitamins are not directly absorbed in the blood because blood is water. And so they travel in a different or through a different system called the lymphatic system together with other lipid substances like yung mga um, cholesterol, triglyceride, phospholipids, sterols, and others. Whereas, ang mga water-soluble vitamins, they are absorbed directly in to the bloodstream, going to the liver and target cells. As I mentioned, hindi nalulus or lumalabas ang mga fat-soluble vitamins together with our urine. Instead, they are lost in the feces, okay, together with the bile or bile pigments. Ito yung nagbibigay ng yellow color sa ating mga poop. By the way, kumain na ba kayo? So, na-mention natin yun. I hope nag-breakfast na kayo. Okay? And compared with the water-soluble vitamins that are lost in the urine. Kailan sila nalolost? When we take them in excess. So, for example, in excess of the renal threshold or the capacity of the kidney to retain them, more than, example is vitamin C, when our intake is greater than 100 milligrams per day, then the excess of what we took in are or will be lost in the urine. Okay. And then for fat soluble vitamins, they have precursors or inactive form that are different in form when inside the body. Whereas for the water soluble vitamins, wala silang precursors. Okay. And in terms of the chemical structure, ang kanilang chemical structure ay parehong may carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. But for the water-soluble vitamins, meron pang additional elements like sulfur in biotin and cobalt in cobalamin. In terms of toxicity, mas malaki ang chance na makadevelop ng toxicity with higher intakes sa mga fat soluble vitamins kasi na-store nga sila sa katawan eh. And according to literature, an intake of greater than 6 times the recommended levels can lead to toxicity. Whereas for water-soluble vitamins, an intake of 10 times greater than the recommended levels can make a person develop toxicity. Pero for the water-soluble vitamin, it's very rare, no? Usually, sa mga, ano lang yan, nangyayari kapag very high ang intake ng vitamins in supplements form. So, eto, nasa screen, ang provitamin and antivitamin. Ayan, parehong may vitamin. Pero as their, as the word tells us, no, pro and then anti. So when we say provitamins, ito ay mga precursors of the vitamin, usually the inactive form, and then they are activated in the body. Example is the beta carotene converted to the preformed or the active form retinol, vitamin A. Pwede rin na the inactive vitamin D in the skin, the 7-dehydro cholesterol in the skin is activated in the liver into its active form, which I will discuss later. For the antivitamins naman or antagonist, syempre ito yung mga kumukontra sa vitamins or true vitamins. In terms of chemical structure, they are related to true vitamins but they differ in function. Actually, they antagonize no the action of vitamin. For example, avidin. Siguro tinuro din ito as example ng teachers nyo, di ba? Nung undergrad kayo. That overconsumption ng raw egg white, no, can um, produce a lot of avidin in the body. Pwedeng mag-provide yan ng a lot of avidin in the body that can counter or antagonize the utilization of biotin. Pero tinanong ko sa biochemist teacher ko noon, gaano pong kadami? Isang sako daw. Isang sako ng itlog. Okay, so hindi naman pala possible yan, no? Kapag we eat egg in moderation, which is basically 1 egg a day. Also, thiaminase, no, present in raw fish and clams that antagonize the activity of vitamin B1. So now let's discuss fat-soluble vitamins one by one. Or for the general characteristics muna. Absorption of the fat-soluble vitamin takes place in the small intestine. Okay. So, syempre, from the GI tract, they have to enter the enterocyte or the intestinal cell in the form of micelles. Micelle is a lipid molecule wherein meron niyang ends or two regions, no? The water-loving end na makikita sa surface of this spherical lipid molecule or compound, and the hydrophilic or ito yung water-fearing region or the fat components na nagmi-meet doon sa loob ng structure niya. Bakit nasa labas ang water-loving? Para maka-travel siya freely sa watery environment um, inside the intestinal cell para makapasok siya. And once inside the intestinal cell, ipapack up siya sa join siya sa isang carrier na lipoprotein called chylomicrons. I know na na-encounter nyo na to. 'Di ba? Meron tayong mga tinatawag na carrier of lipids na tinatawag ng lipoproteins. So, ang una munang sasakyan niya or transporter ng ating fat-soluble vitamins ay ang tinatawag na chylomicrons. So, ang chylomicrons ay magta-travel, kinikerry niya yung fat-soluble vitamins together with other lipid substances, dadaan siya doon sa lymphatic system and then makakaabot siya sa thoracic duct. And then from the thoracic duct, doon pa siya magjo-join sa blood circulation. Okay, and then i-deliver siya sa mga target cells like liver and where this vitamins are needed. Okay, so that they'll be able to carry out their function. So, tanong, what is this vitamin that is called anti-infective vitamin? Anti-infective from the word infectious. Oh, it has something to do with its ability to strengthen the immune function. Okay. So, class, sige nga, please type in your answer in the chat box at the count of 1 to 3. Vitamin C. Yes, I saw vitamin A. Congratulations. Dati kapag merong nakakakuha ng tamang sagot, meron tayong pa-award na mga some supplies for the exam. Okay? So, congratulations, Martini. You got it correct. Okay, yung mga nasumagot ng vitamin C, tama din naman yan, pero we're still discussing fat-soluble vitamins. Okay? So, when we say anti-infective, it's vitamin A, no? Under the fat-soluble classification. So, there are a lot of terminologies na ginagamit sa vitamin A na nakakalito. Merong mga retinoids, ano ba yan? When we say retinoids, this is the general term for vitamin A. Ito yung mga compounds na pwedeng synthetic or natural. So yung pala, ang retinoids ay pwedeng yung vitamin A natural foods or in synthetic form like in supplements. Meron din tinatawag na retinol. Ito yung active form of vitamin A in the body and also the form of vitamin A in animal and animal products. So sa mga meat, dairies, egg, ang form ng vitamin doon ay retinol. It's a preformed, no? Formed na siya. Hindi na siya i-form pa into an active form. Active form na siya. Okay? There are also carotenoids. Ano ba tong carotenoids? Ito yung mga tinatawag na pro-vitamin A. They have to to be converted to vitamin A in the body. Although not all carotenoids or beta carotene are efficiently and effectively and 100% converted to retinol. Actually, according sa mga pag-aaral, 10% lang ng beta carotene ang nagiging retinol in the body. So when we say beta carotene, ito naman yung carotenoids with highest vitamin A activity. Ayan. Class, ang dami na namang terminology, vitamin A pa lang. So, ginawa na lang natin ganito para mas madali nating maintindihan. Okay? When we say retinol, ito yung form of vitamin A in the blood. Ito yung mame-measure in the blood. When we say retinol ester, ito naman yung form of vitamin A na stored in the body. Example, in the liver. When we say retinal, ito ang form of vitamin A in the eyes. And as you can see, yung double-headed arrows indicate that these forms are interchangeable. Okay? So, kunwari, yung retinal ester, pwede siyang maging retinol or pwede siyang maging retinal kapag kailangan na siyang gamitin. Okay? But the form of vitamin A that is highly irreversible to other forms is the retinoic acid. And the retinoic acid has this distinct property because it is the form of vitamin A that can interact with genes and can promote cell differentiation. Kaya naman, kung naalala nyo ang storya ng inyong mga guro nung kayo ay undergrad na bawal daw mag-take ng vitamin A or gumamit ng mga pampaganda na may retinoic acid kapag buntis ang isang babae. Okay? Sabi ng World Health Organization, bawal nga during the first 60 days of pagbubuntis or gestation because this vitamin A can interact with genes and can cause teratogenic effects or birth defects. Okay? Dahil nga may kakayahan ang ating vitamin A in the form of retinoic acid to modulate or interact with genetic material in the nucleus. Okay, so what are the functions of vitamin A? I made it this way. Tingnan nyo. I am saved by G or by God. So it's easy. It would be easier to remember. I for immune function. Sabi nga natin, anti-infective vitamin, it strengthens the immune system in many ways, no? Pwedeng napapadami niya according sa mga studies, napapataas niya yung mga immune factors like yung mga white blood cells and others. Pero ang isang way niya to increase immune function is pinapa-healthy niya ang mucous membranes. Nasaan ba ang mga mucous membranes? Ang mucous membranes ay binubuo ng mga mucous cells. These are soft cells. Mucous membranes can be found lining the organs in the body. Example, the skin. When you touch your skin, medyo malambot siya, di ba? Because you have mucous cells, no? And also, mucous membranes are found doon sa mga organs natin inside the body like yung respiratory tract, no? Nilaline niya or kinocover ang respiratory tract. Um, Urinary tract, and other organs. So basically, mucous membranes, ito yung ating first line of defense. Ayan. So ibig sabihin, hindi agad-agad makakapasok ang mga infectious agent kung strong ang ating mucous membrane, may integrity. Okay? S for skin health, it promotes healthy skin. Okay? Another is A, antioxidant. Ang vitamin A, alam natin yan na it has antioxidant property. It has the ability to scavenge or donate electron to stabilize a free radical. Okay? And then for vision, in the form of retinal. Sabi nga, the retinal or vitamin A, it binds with the protein opsin to form rhodopsin, which is the visual purple. Okay? Then later on, discuss natin a little mechanism on how it promotes healthy vision. And E for embryonic development and reproduction. Kailangan ng vitamin A. And G, sabi ko nga kanina, it helps in regulating gene expression. Ito yung sinasabi ko on how vitamin A promotes healthy vision. Ito is through the process na tinatawag na the visual cycle, kung saan yung daw vitamin A in the blood goes to the retinal cell wherein they are stored as retinal ester. And then, in the presence of light, itong mga retinal esters are converted to cis-retinal, and then they are bind or they merge or combined with the opsin protein and then forming rhodopsin. And then in the presence of light, magkakaroon ng splitting ng rhodopsin. Maghihiwalay ang opsin at retinal. So what will happen is in the splitting no process or isomerization process, magpuproduce ng signal to the brain via the optic nerve. At ito ang magsasabi na makakita. Okay? Kailangan makakita at night, specifically at night time. So, ito yung proseso. And this is a cycle because what happens to the retinal once it split, no, with the opsin, ay magiging retinol ulit siya and then babalik na naman doon sa retinal cell at ma-store na naman siya as retinal ester at kapag ginamit na naman at night time, the process will continue. Okay? So, pwede nyo namang balikan to. Okay? If you'd like to, basahin pa yung mga information related to this. Okay? Ito lang is the proof that vitamin A can interact with genes. Ito ay the nucleus. Doon yun sa may pinaka-white circle. So, the vitamin A in the form of retinoic acid from the cytoplasm is carried by retinoic acid ano ba yan? acid-binding protein. Sasakay siya doon sa isang protein. Okay? And then papasok siya sa nucleus. And when inside the nucleus, itong retinoic acid natin ay magbabind doon sa pinaka-receptor na tinatawag na rare. Ang rare ay retinoic acid response elements. So what will happen, itong rare na ito ay may kakayahang mag-modulate or mag-regulate ng tinatawag na gene transcription. Ano ba yung gene transcription? Alam na alam natin yan, mRNA vaccination. Sa gene transcription, ito yung nagpo-produce ng mga gene mRNA or messengers of or carrier of the information that are copied from the DNA sequence. So, ang minimension lang natin dito is dapat pala ay maingat tayo sa vitamin A. Kaya pag sinabi na wag mag-take during the first 60 days of gestation, wag tayo magti-take. Those who are planning to get to or those who are pregnant or planning to get pregnant, dapat aware of this, no? Kasi nga, meron siyang ability to interact with genes. At ito din rin naman ang reason kung bakit napopromote ang cell differentiation ng vitamin A. Ano ba yung cell differentiation? Ito yung ang mga cells in the body ay nagmamature, na specialize nila yung functions nila. Okay? So sa tulong ng vitamin A is nakaka-develop ng ganitong ability ang mga cells in the body so that they'll be able to function well. Okay? So another thing that we need to understand dito sa vitamin A is the equivalent units. Kailangan i-memorize ito dahil minsan lumalabas to sa board exam. Nung time namin, tinanong ito, ano daw ang equivalent ng ganitong dami ng vitamin A? Okay? So kailangan nyo itong balikan at i-memorize. Okay? Ano-ano naman ang mga tumutulong sa vitamin A para ma-absorb sa katawan at magamit? Una ay fat dahil nga siya ay kailangan ng fat para ma-absorb. Kailangan din ng protein at zinc dahil ang protein at zinc ay tumutulong para makaproduce ang katawan ng retinol binding protein na nagke-carry ng vitamin A from the liver to the other parts of the body. So ito ay nagtutulungan para mas magamit ang vitamin A sa katawan. Deficiency in vitamin A. Sabi nga, since it promotes growth and development through cell differentiation, kapag kulang ang vitamin A, edi mai-impair ang growth and development. Sabi natin kanina, ang vitamin A important para makaproduce ng healthy na mucous cells na nagbibigay ng softness sa skin. Kapag walang vitamin A, ano mangyayari sa balat? Di maninigas, magiging parang toad skin. Nakahawak na ba kayo ng palaka during your biology course? 'Di ba hindi naman siya smooth, nakakadiri ang palaka, balat ng palaka. Pero I'm not saying kakadiri naman kapag may keratinization because this is a medical condition or a nutritional condition. So what happens is yung mga mucous cells are turned into keratin through the process of keratinization. Keratin matigas yan, 'di ba? This is the form, this is a protein na makikita natin saan? Sa kuko, sa balat, sa buhok. Sa buhok. So, yun ang nagiging result ng vitamin A deficiency. At tingnan nyo yung term dyan ha, phynoderma or follicular hyperkeratosis. Tapos nagdi-decrease din ang resistance to infection at na-explain na natin kanina. And then, pinaka-importante na role ng vitamin A nga is sa vision kasi the number one cause of most ano ba 'yan? The number one cause of most preventable uh, blindness is vitamin A deficiency. Ang vitamin A deficiency na cause ng blindness ay may stages. Blindness does not happen overnight. Kailangan yan ay over a prolonged period of inadequate intake. So, ano ba yung stages niyan? Una, it starts with a mild deficiency characterized by night blindness. Tayo ba ay medyo hirap-hirap nang makakita sa dilim? Baka may may vitamin A deficiency na tayo. Followed by conjunctival cirrhosis. Conjunctiva, it's a part of the eye, di ba? Sa lining of the eye. Cirrhosis meaning drying. So nade-dry na yung eyes. Alam natin yung mucus dyan that gives its ability na mag-blink tayo is the protection of the eye, the first line of defense. So pag nag-dry yan, magiging prone yan sa mga infections. And yun nga. And then third is the phytode spots. Phytode spots, ito naman is the formation of the cheesy white appearance tulad ng nasa picture. Tapos, dahil ganyan na, very, prone na sa infection ng mata, pwedeng mag-form ng corneal ulceration or open sore. Magsusugat na siya tulad ng nasa picture. And then, kapag severe na ang deficiency, hindi pa rin na-address during the mild to moderate deficiency levels, it will lead to xerophthalmia or blindness, progressive blindness. Ang masakit pa nito, it can lead to keratomalacia or softening of the eyes, leading to irreversible blindness na. So, dito pa lang sa xerophthalmia, doon pa lang sa night blindness, dapat ma-address na ang vitamin A deficiency. Or else, it can lead to blindness. Sabi ng World Health Organization, ang pharmacologic dose to address xerophthalmia is 200,000 international units of vitamin A for 2 days to avoid the blinding xerophthalmia. To avoid pala, not to treat. So, kailangan at early stages ay ma-address na ang problem with vitamin A deficiency. Ito nangyari to sa aking batchmate who top 8 sa board exam and still my close friend and kumare up to now. No. Dahil siya ay nag-try magpapayat, nag-try siyang vegetarian diet after we graduate. Nako, sabi niya, pumayat nga siya pero nanilaw ang kanyang balat, lalo na yung palad niya at talampakan. Dahil nakadevelop siya ng hypervitaminosis A dahil parating ang diet niya ay mayaman sa green leafy vegetables and orange fruits and vegetables. So naka-experience din daw siya ng headache and dizziness, no? And other symptoms. And yun nga, ang isa pang nangyayari is the cessation of menstruation. Ayan, and induced bleeding. Hypercarotemia is the yellow wing of the skin, no? Whereas teratogenic naman is the birth defect associated with vitamin A intake or application during the first few months of gestation. Ito, ano bang rich sources of vitamin A? Marami yan. Sa green, leafy vegetables, at sa mga yellow, fruits and vegetables. Preformed vitamin A naman, sabi natin preformed meaning animals and animal products. So meron sa liver, sa organ meats, egg yolk, and others. Itong naka-yellow na fish liver oils, iyan ang richest source of vitamin A. In case matanong what is the richest source at nakita nyo ang fish liver oil, yun na yun. Okay? And ano naman itong vitamin na may anti-rachitic factor or anti-rachitic property from the word rickets? O, sige nga, please type in the chat box. Yes, congratulations! Papasa na, no? Magtatap na ng board exam. It's vitamin D. Okay? Sabi nila sunshine vitamin daw. Nasa sun rays bar sunshine ba ang vitamin D? Pag tinanong ang isang nutritionist, wala, 'di ba? Nasa balat natin 'yan. Ina-activate lang ng vitamin D, 'di ba? 'Yan ang inaral natin nung undergrad tayo. So in the form of the cholesterol, 7-dehydrocholesterol. Ready na ba siya to perform its role? Hindi pa. It has to be activated pa together with vitamin D in diet supplements. Kunwari, yung ergocalciferol or in D2 or cholecalciferol in D3 from diet supplements, they from diet, okay, and food, including food and supplements, magko-combine sila with the inactive form, no? From the skin. Then dadaan sila sa isang enzyme pathway in the liver, ma-activate sila into calcidiol or the 25-hydroxy vitamin D, which is the form of vitamin D that is measurable sa dugo. And then, they will be carried to the kidney for another activation. No, ito yung final activation forming into calcitriol. So this now is the 1,2,5 dihydroxy vitamin D. This is the active form of vitamin D in the body. And its metabolic byproduct is the calcitroic acid or the inactive form. So again, these are the organs that are involved in the activation of vitamin D, the liver and the kidneys. Bakit kaya mga milk products parating added with vitamin D? Laging fortified. Why do you think calcium and vitamin D always go together in milk products and other dairy products? Because vitamin D is needed to synthesize the carrier of or the transporter of calcium. This is the calcium binding protein, no? So in order to distribute the calcium from the liver to different parts of the body, kailangan ng calcium binding protein with the help of vitamin D. Tandaan that vitamin D is synthesized from cholesterol, and 1 unit of vitamin D is equivalent to 0.025 pure cholesterol. Okay, ano naman itong figure na ito? Ang figure na ito naman ay tungkol sa vitamin D. At sabi nga, wow, ang powerful naman ng vitamin D. Kahit ngayong COVID, parang ang vitamin D, ang ganda-ganda daw ng performance kasi para siyang susi. Kino-close niya tightly yung daanan ng virus para hindi siya makapasok. So, vitamin D according to recent studies ay parang endocrine system dahil may ability siya to stimulate a target organ or target cell to carry out its function. Yun naman ang role ng endocrine system, di ba? They produce a chemical and then this chemical is shift or delivered to a certain organ to do a certain action. Okay? So, ano ang role ng vitamin D dito? Vitamin D helps in in the maintenance of calcium balance or homeostasis. So, ang ginagawa ng vitamin D ay tinutulungan niya na more calcium is absorbed in the small intestine and then even more calcium is reabsorbed in the kidneys, more calcium is withdrawn from the bone in the event that the level of calcium gets low. Okay, kapag bumaba, ito yung mga organs na itatap ni vitamin D para mapataas ang level of calcium in the body. So these are the deficiencies of vitamin D. In adults, osteomalacia. Baka matanong sa board exam. Osteomalacia, osteo meaning bone, malacia meaning softening. So yung adult, pwede siyang makadevelop ng soft and fragile bones. Osteopenia naman meaning weak and painful bones. And then osteoporosis meaning fragile and brittle bones. Hindi lang sa adults but also sa mga bata. Kaya nga ang vitamin D ay tinawag na anti-rachitic factor because it prevents a condition called rickets. Rickets is characterized by soft and fragile bones among children. So ano ang karakteristik ng rickets, no? Ang bata na may ricket ay matagal mag-close ang mga fontanelles or bunbunan. Meron din siyang naka-emboss din or naka-protrude ang kanyang noo. Maninipis din ang kanyang mga enamel, tooth enamel. Tapos ang kanyang dito buto sa may rib, yung sternum ay naka-emboss din, naka-protrude. Tinatawag na pectus carinatum. Then may swelling ang wrist at saka ankle joints. Tapos yung mga nagkukunek-kunek na parts ng skull, kapag nagko-close ang fontanelles ay makikita na parang malalaki yung pagitan. Tapos parang meron siyang rosary sa kanyang ribs na tinatawag na rachitic rosary kasi naka-emboss yung mga conjunctions or yung mga joints or yung mga nagko-connect-connect na bone sa ribs. Then meron din siyang parang Harrison sulcus. Ito yung condition na parang malalim yung end ng rib, parang merong naka naka-indent yung pinaka-end or last part ng rib kaya ang stomach ay mukhang naka-protrude. And then meron siyang bowing of legs. Ito yung parang sakang. Hindi lang, sabi nga dito, hindi lang ang rickets ay the physical malformation. It is also associated with pain and tenderness ng mga joints. Kaya nga may swelling ng joints. So what happens with high intake or super high intake of vitamin D? 'Di ba sabi natin vitamin D helps in calcium absorption. So, kapag sobrang vitamin D, marami ding calcium ang maa-absorb and it can cause calcification or hardening of soft organs in the body like kidneys and lungs. Can also lead to nausea, weight loss, and frequent urination or polyuria. In terms of vitamin rich D rich sources, number one is cod liver oils. Okay, and then there are also in fish oil, some seafoods, egg yolk. Ang egg yolk talaga ay ang daming sustansya, ano? And then vitamin D fortified foods such as milk and margarine. Yay! Now let's move on to the third fat soluble vitamin. That's vitamin E. This is called as the anti-hemolytic factor. Later, bakit kaya siya anti-hemolytic? Okay? So, ang vitamin E ay binigyan natin ng mga salitang nag-start sa A or binigyan ng mga names na nag-start sa A. Alpha tocopherol. Okay? Anti-sterility factor. Hindi nakakabaog, no? Nakaka-enhance ng fertility. Anti-hemolytic factor and antioxidant. Bakit anti-hemolytic? Ano bang 'pag sinabing hemolysis, 'di ba nagra-rupture ang mga cells, specifically red blood cells? Bakit? Napaka-sensitive ng mga red blood cells, 'no, sa attack ng mga free radicals or oxidative stress. Kapag walang antioxidant na vitamin E, hindi mapoprotect ang membrane of the red blood cells membrane ng mga red blood cells. So, they will burst, they will hemolyze, no? And lalabas yung mga contents niya like bilirubin. So, hindi yun maganda. Okay? And then, for the conversion, 1 milligram of alpha tocopherol is equivalent to 1 international unit of vitamin E. So, low intake of vitamin E can lead to hypovitaminosis, whereas that can lead to hemolysis of the red blood cells. Na-mention natin kanina, no, na pwedeng mag-rupture ang mga red blood cells dahil sa attack ng mga free radicals without the antioxidant effect of or property of vitamin E. Ang problem lang with vitamin E, kapag sobra, naka-counteract niya ang function ng vitamin K. Ito kasing mga sustansya sa katawan maintain should be ano ba yan, in good relationship. Alam natin yan, maganda ang mga good relationship. We want to keep it, correct? Pero kapag sobra na, nawawala na ang balanse. So, ganun din sa mga sustansya. Kapag sobrang taas ng vitamin E, nawawalan naman ng effect ang function ng vitamin K. Dahil it can interfere na with the blood clotting factor of vitamin K. And the result would be hemorrhage or bleeding. Okay. For the rich sources of vitamin E, ito yung naka-yellow highlight in case lumabas sa exam. Ito ay sunflower seeds and oils, no? And then meron ding mga germ oils, no? And then meron din sa mga soybean products and yung mga products such as mayonnaise, salad dressing, and margarine. Meron din vitamin E sa egg yolk na naman, no? Liver na naman. Talagang mayaman to sa mga sustansya, no? Egg yolk and liver. Tsaka buttermilk butter and milk. Tandaan nyo, yung mga plant oils na mayaman sa polyunsaturated fatty acids are also high in vitamin E. So, alam nyo na yan, vitamin K as the anti-hemorrhagic factor. Anti-hemorrhage, it prevents bleeding. Bleeding na ba kayo? Ano nga? Paki-thumbs up nga or yes, no? Bleeding na ba? Bleeding na sa kadamihan ng kailangang aralin, intindihin? Hay nako class, no? Ang dami talagang concerns nowadays, pero prioritize nyo ang pagre-review nyo. Dapat may hugot kayo dyan, no? Because once you pass the exam, nako, ready na kayong kumita ng pera. Kaya tulungan ang sarili nyo or ang pamilya nyo. Very rewarding ang makapasa sa board exam, no? Kaya tiyaga-tiyaga lang at sipag-sipag lang kailangan. Sa tingin ko, hindi natin kailangan maging matalino para ipasa ang board exam. Kailangan lang natin maging organized sa mga review materials natin. Kailangan lang din na matyaga tayo at masipag at isacrifice muna ang mga kasiyahan na nakakakuha ng ating panahon sa pag-aaral. Okay? So, yon. So, vitamin K. Vitamin K ay, ito ang mga names niya, phylloquinone, PP, meaning phylloquinone. Pag tinanong, ano ba ang vitamin K in plant? Di P, phylloquinone. In animals, menaquinones. The synthetic form of vitamin K is menadione. It's also the anti-hemorrhagic factor and the blood coagulating factor or coagulation factor. Nagko-coagulate, meaning na-stop nagka-clot. Ayan. So kaya siya it's a blood clotting factor. Speaking of blood clotting factor, nasa ng vitamin K? Bakit siya important? Ito yung process ng blood clotting. Ang vitamin K ay kailangan para makaproduce ng mga precursors ng substances that will promote the synthesis of fibrin or the solid clot. Okay? Sandali lang. March, naka-record ba tayo? Recording ba to? Hello, Ma'am Marge? Ma'am Joyce? Naka-record ba?
Yes, ma'am. Naka-record po
Okay,
tayo.
thank you, thank you. Ayan. So, for those kasi na baka hindi sila naka-attend. Okay, so eto, going back to the figure, there are 4 vitamin K dependent clotting factors. Ito yung factor 2 or the prothrombin in yellow box. And other factors such as factor 7, 9, and 10. Sila yung mga kailangan para makaproduce ng thrombin. Okay? So, kailangan ng vitamin K to produce them. And itong prothrombin, the inactive form of protein, is activated with calcium. So calcium din is important in the blood clotting factor. And thromboplastin from the blood platelets to produce thrombin, an active enzyme from the inactive prothrombin. And this thrombin will activate the fibrinogen, the soluble or convert the fibrinogen or the soluble protein to a solid clot or fibrin. Ito yung parang tough, matigas na clot. At ito yung nagbibigay ng ability sa wound na mag-heal and for bleeding to stop. Interestingly, ang vitamin K is it participates in bone formation. Nakita nyo ba nung bata-bata pa kayo or bata pa siguro kayo noon, may isang milk company, a big company na nag-produce ng isang milk product at sabi nila, mas maganda ang milk nila kasi may vitamin K because vitamin K locks in the calcium inside the bones, sabi nila. So tandaan nyo yun vitamin K also participates in bone formation. How? Because vitamin K activates the protein produced by the bone cells, the osteoblast, the inactive osteocalcin to active osteocalcin that helps in bone mineralization. Okay? So what happens when there is deficiency in vitamin K? Delayed ang healing of wounds, continuous ang bleeding, okay? Delayed ang clotting time. Kapag naman may toxicity, ito yung tinatawag na hyper. Lagi naman ganon. Madali lang yung terminology pag tinanong. Okay, hyper lang, i-add nyo lang and then the name of vitamins. Leading to hemolytic anemia. Sabi nga, kapag too much ang vitamin K naman, yung opposite naman yung mangyayari. It can counteract the activity of vitamin E. 'Di ba sabi natin kanina meron silang relationship. And then, what will happen daw kapag nag-break? Sabi nga sa ating inaral nung undergrad tayo, di marirelease yung mga contents ng red blood cells like bilirubin at dadami in the blood leading to hyperbilirubinemia. Emia means blood, so elevated levels of bilirubin in the blood. Ang masama nito ay pag tumaas ng sobrang level, they can reach the brain. Pwede silang mag-accumulate daw sa gray matter of the central nervous system leading to a condition called kernicterus na pwedeng mag-cause ng brain damage. Kaya yung mga bata, di ba, pinapaarawan, yung mga may jaundice, kung saan elevated ang bilirubin in the blood, no? In order to prevent this condition. Ano ang richest source of vitamin K? Di madali lang, kale. O, di ba? Kale. Bakit kaya? Alam mo yung kale, yung totoong kale ha, kasi may kale dito sa atin na parang hindi naman siya ganun kakapal ang dahon. Pero yung totoong kale class, sobrang kapal ng dahon, sobrang tigas. Kailangan mong lutuin, di mo siya makakain na fresh. At sabi nga, ang vitamin K ay makikita saan? Anong kulay? Sa mabeberdeng gulay. So like, um, seaweed, spinach, saluyot. Although meron din naman saan sa mga cauliflower, not so green naman yan. Also in animal sources, eto na naman, in egg yolk and pork liver. Yehey! Congratulations to us! Tapos na tayo sa fat-soluble vitamins. Okay lang ba? Mabilis, mabagal? Kasi madami pa tayong cover eh. Okay. Oroy, mabilis ba? Benchong, mabilis? Okay ba? Yehey! Na-miss daw ako. Miss ko rin kayo, mga dati ko estudyante. Si Jillian, si Camille, si Jean. Nandito pala si Camille? Okay. Hindi ko kayo tuloy makita lahat eh. Okay, sige. Thank you, thank you. And okay lang po. Sakto. Yehey. Sige. O ano, 9 o'clock daw. Diretso tayo ha. Ayan na, B1. B1 na tayo. Yehey! Now let's move on to water-soluble vitamins. Alam nyo dito naman sa mga vitamins, minerals, ano lang, wag nyo na lang i-memorize. Basta basahin nyo lang siguro once or twice, enough na yon. Mare-recall nyo rin yan. Di nyo rin naman alam kung lahat ng ito ay lalabas. Pero alam nyo, isang tip dyan, ay basahin nyo as much as possible lahat ng review materials na makakalap nyo. Kasi dati, buti nabasa ko, ang tinanong ba naman gaano kakapal ang mesa, ang work table, kakapal ba yun or kalawak? Buti parang meron ako nabasa na isang book na nakalagay doon. Hindi ko lang alam kung tama yung sinagot ko. So, hindi naman na malalaman yon. Okay? Meron ding ano daw, ano pa ba, ano daw potato ginagamit sa french fries. Tanda ko yun eh. Tapos tanong pa, sino daw naka-discover ng hotdog stand? Yung mga ganon, nagsimula ba noon? Ganyan. Kung ano-anong tanong. So, dapat ay mabasa lang, mabasa. Huwag na kayong sobrang memorize. Tingin ko hindi nyo kailangan. Intindihin nyo lang yung concept. Okay? Nakaka-stress ang mga tanong. Correct, nakaka-stress talaga. Pero okay lang yan. This time siguro, sa review nyo, wag nyo nang gamitin ng word na stress, no? Nakaka-stretch. Diba? Pwede namang stretch lang. No, ang stress ay dami ng stress around. Sabi niyo ng nakaka-stretch, no? Nakaka-stretch ng yun, stress plus tawa, correct. Ayan, tawanan niyo na lang ang pagre-review, no? Maging happy kayo, hayaan niyo lilipas din 'to. Pero maganda nakapaghanda kayo para ano, magandang resulta. Okay? So, vitamin B1, anti-beriberi vitamin, anti-neuritic, neuritic meaning neurons, nerves, neuritic, itis meaning inflammation. So, this vitamin prevents damage and inflammation of the nerves. So, neuron din, anurin. So, vitamin B1 din. And moral vitamin. May moral pa ba tayo? Yes naman. Bakit? Kasi ang vitamin B1 according sa pag-aaral as something or can affect behavior and thinking and disposition in life and ability to focus. So, kailangan natin ng B1, lalo na sa mga laging puyat o kaya naman nagda-diet or stress. Okay? Okay. Baka oras na. What time is it? Tingnan natin. Ayan. Sige, Ma'am March. Pakyo na lang ako ha. Wala akong relo dito eh. Hindi ko makita sa computer. Okay. So, ayan. So, ano ba ang role nitong vitamin B1? Ang vitamin B1 ay kilala as thiamine, 'di ba? The free thiamine or non-phosphorylated is present in plants. In animals naman, ito naman yung active form, the coenzyme form. Most B vitamins exist as coenzyme, no, in the body. So, ito yung phosphorylated form or active form, 'di ba? Kapag nilalagyan ng phosphate, na-activate. So, thiamine pyrophosphate is the active form or the coenzyme form of vitamin B1. It is important as a coenzyme, meaning coenzyme, it is a partner of enzyme for a process to proceed. So, as you can see dito sa figure, yung pyruvate produced from glycolysis is decarboxylated to acetyl-CoA with the help of thiamine pyrophosphate, okay, which is a coenzyme of pyruvate dehydrogenase. Also in the Krebs cycle, which is the second step of cellular respiration, ang thiamine pyrophosphate is also involved in the decarboxylation of alpha-ketoglutarate to succinyl-CoA. So when it comes to decarboxylation, or the removal of carbon dioxide, ang vitamin involved is thiamine. O ayan, na-discuss nyo siguro ito sa first part of the nutritional biochemistry, no? The macronutrients. Ito yung pentose phosphate pathway. This is a parallel pathway with the glycolysis. Itong pathway na ito ay napaka-importante, di ba? Kasi two important compounds are produced. One is ribose 5-phosphate na kailangan to produce nucleic acids and some sugars and coenzymes. Another is the NADPH. Alam natin, hindi mapuproduce ang fats, steroids, fatty acids, amino acids, and some neurotransmitters and glutathione without NADPH. Kaya itong pathway na to is important. And in this pathway, kailangan ng thiamine, the TPP or thiamine pyrophosphate, because it is a coenzyme of transketolases that are involved in this metabolic pathway. For the functions of thiamine, it is important in the conversion of the essential amino acid tryptophan to niacin. It also helps maintain appetite. Kaya sa mga kulang ang appetite, like sa mga bata, di ba, binibigyan ng mga vitamins with B vitamins. And it also is involved in muscle tone and nerve transmission. Ayan. So, deficiency in vitamin, madaling tandaan ha. B, B1, berry. There are 3 types of berry. Ayan. One is dry, berry, characterized by paresthesia, yung feeling na may tumutusok-tusok, pins and needles, no? Also, numbness, loss of muscle, muscle weakness and atrophy. Okay? And then, wet berry is similar with dry berry, pero meron siyang edema, kaya siya wet. Merong fluid retention and enlargement of the heart. And then, the infantile berry, ito naman yung mga bata na binrestfeed ng nanay na mababa or deficient in thiamine. Kaya nakadevelop din sila ng beriberi. Ito ang medical condition, no? A severe deficiency in vitamin B1 due to chronic alcohol consumption. Ito ay tinatawag na WKS, the Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. Itong condition na ito ay characterized ng abnormal um, abnormality in eye muscles. Parang nagdo-droop yung ano niya, eyelid. Tapos walang focus ang mata kasi yung muscle um, function, activity, no, or tone ng mata ay nalulose dahil nga ang vitamin B1 ay involved sa muscle tone. It is also characterized by ataxia or poor coordination of the body. Hindi makatayo ng ayos, natutumba, suway-suway, or parang laseng. And then altered state of consciousness. Okay, what is your answer here? What is the richest source of vitamin B1? It is a four-letter word. It starts with letter P. Sige. Yay! Very good, Yasmin. Ana Yasmin, it's pork. Peppa Pig. Okay? So, thiamine, no. Mayaman ang pork sa thiamine. Okay? There are also thiamine or B1 in the following food items. Especially mga fortified with vitamin B1. Marami ng food products na fortified ng vitamin B1. Ayan. Na-mention na natin to, thiaminase, no? Antagonist of thiamine. Ito rin, kapag sobrang intake ng teas and coffee, sinong mahilig sa inyo ng panay tsaa? Okay? So, meron yung chlorogenic acid and tannins that inhibitors of thiamine absorption. Vitamin B2 or riboflavin. Ito ay tinatawag na yellow enzymes kasi yung B2 parang pag natamaan ng araw yan, medyo may yellow tinge kaya yellow enzyme. Vitamin G, sino ang favorite si Zara G? Hindi nyo makakalimutan ang vitamin B2. Lactoflavin, kasi madaming vitamin B2 sa lacto or milk. Ganun din sa liver or hepatoflavin at sa egg, ovoflavin. Katulad ng vitamin B1, coenzyme din yan. Ito, tandaan nyo ba? Alam kong favorite nyo ang biochemistry, di ba? So, ito yung FAD and FMN, the flavin adenine mononucleotide or flavin adenine dinucleotide. Ito ang coenzyme forms or active form of vitamin B2. Nasaan yan? Tingnan nyo sa figure. Aba, nasa Krebs cycle yan or TCA cycle. Kung saan, ano ba itong FADH? Itong FAD ay carrier ng electron, kaya siya naging FADH. Itong mga electrons na to i-carry niya papunta sa electron transport chain, 'di ba? Ipapasa niya sa mga series of doon, molecules hanggang makadating sa oxygen. So that energy is produced in the form of ATP and then ang byproducts niyan ay water, 'di ba? So, important ang riboflavin in energy production. Okay? Also in ETC, electron transport chain. Na-mention na natin kung bakit. So, yung FADH, kinikerry niya yung mga electrons. Okay? So, energy carrier sila. Alam nyo ba ang vitamin B2 pala ay important din sa redox or reduction oxidation cycle of glutathione. Sino sa inyo ang gustong magkaroon ng glutathione, madaming glutathione sa katawan, 'di ba? Sabi, this is a tripeptide made from 3 amino acid. Ano nga yung tatlong amino acid na meron sa glutathione? Sige nga, sino kaya? Nag-start sa G, G, C. Yes, Nico, cysteine, correct. Glycine and G. What's that? G. What is that another G? Glutamine, very good. So ang glutathione ay may tatlong amino acids. Ang maganda sa glutathione is it is an antioxidant in addition to its side effect na nakakaputi at toxic dose, 'di ba? So pero pag in-stop na wala na rin yung magandang skin or kaputian, okay? So ngayon, para maging antioxidant siya at ma-reduce niya or ma-stabilize niyang free radicals, kailangan meron siyang hydrogen na pang-stabilize, pang-donate ng electron. So it should be in reduced form. Kaya lang kapag siya ay ginawa niya yung function niya as antioxidant, it becomes oxidized in the process. So kailangan siyang ma-reduce again. At nasaan ang role ng vitamin B2? Ayan coenzyme siya ng glutathione reductase na tumutulong para ma-reduce ang glutathione to go back to its antioxidant form. So vitamin B2 is very important in glutathione redox cycle. Another important role of vitamin B2 is in the formation of the active form of folate. Iba-iba ang forms of folate. Okay? So, the active form is the 5,10 methylene tetrahydrofolate, which is important in the synthesis of methionine. Eto, ano ba yan? So, naka-red yung riboflavin. So, without riboflavin, the process won't proceed kasi important coenzyme yan ng methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase. And kapag wala ang riboflavin, maapektuhan din ang conversion ng homocysteine into methionine. Ang homocysteine may puso, nilagyan natin ng puso kasi bad for the heart yan kapag nag-accumulate. It can cause blood clotting and atherosclerosis. So, with the help of vitamin B2 together with other nutrients like B12, ay matutulungan na mapababa ang level of homocysteine by converting it to methionine. Vitamin B2 is also involved in purine metabolism or the synthesis of uric acid. Kailangan efficient ang metabolism of purines in the body. Okay? So without vitamin B2, affected din ang process. Specifically, ay coenzyme siya ng xanthine oxidase. Okay? Which is important in the conversion of hypoxanthine to xanthine and then to uric acid. Ayan, madaling hulaan kapag deficiency in vitamin B2 dahil ang mga affected parts of the body ay sa muka. Una, angles of the mouth or angular stomatitis or cheilitis. May source sa mouth, sa angles of the mouth. Pwede ring may inflammation of the tongue or glossitis. Meron ding parang flaky redness, itchiness sa may smile folds or smile lines sa nasolabial folds. At meron ding vascularization or redness na nangyayari sa mata. Sources, itong naka-highlight are the rich sources, milk, cheese, and egg yolk. Sino sa inyo ang favorite ito? Sino sa inyo mahilig sa cream cheese? Tama ba? Sino ang mahilig sa carbonara? Ayan, madaming B2 yon kasi mayaman siya sa milk, cheese, and egg yolk. Even sa leche flan, meron din sa seafoods, meron din sa enriched flours and bread, at meron din sa mga green leafy vegetables. Ano bang oras na? Ma-March, anong time na ba? Break time na ba tayo?
9:14 pa lang, ma'am.
Ay, okay. Sige. Ayan, may time pa tayo. Okay. Dahan-dahan tayo ng konti. Ayan. Stretch kayo. Class, ha? Gawin nyo yung makaka-relax kayo dyan habang nakikinig kayo. Okay? So, vitamin B3 na tayo. Yehey! Niacin. Niacin or vitamin B3. Niacin, madali naman tandaan. Nicotinic acid, niacinamide, nicotinamide, pellagra preventive factor, and anti-black tongue factor. Ginugol ko, ano ba yung anti-black tongue? Kasi noong panahon, nakita nila na ito daw sustansya na ito ay may kakayahang magpagaling ng black tongue disease ng mga aso. So, kaya siya tinawag na black tongue factor. Okay? And then, ang coenzyme form niya, syempre, nakita nyo na rin ito sa metabolic pathway or sa cellular respiration pathways. In energy production, itong NAD or the nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide and the NADPH or the nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate, which are involved in cellular respiration. So, also, niacin is important in the conversion of or oxidation of pyruvate to lactate. So, some pyruvate are converted to lactate in the absence of oxygen, diba? And NAD or niacin is important. Also in the conversion of ethanol to acetaldehyde. there is NAD. No, NAD is there. Niacin is also involved. In the TCA cycle, ang daming NAD. Doon pa lang sa conversion ng pyruvate to acetyl-CoA by pyruvate dehydrogenase complex, ang dami na. Ito na, may NAD na involved. Kinikerry niya na yung electron. And then dito sa TCA, ilan ba ang napoproduce na NAD? H sa isang cycle ng TCA. Ilan? Pag tinanong kayo, ilan kaya? 1, 2, or 3? Answer in the chat box. Yay! Very good si Jody. Si Ed, tatlo. Very good. Tatlong NADH ang napoproduce. Okay? Sa isang cycle ng TCA. And then this NADH that carries the electron, okay, enters the ETC cycle. Then eventually the electrons are passed on to oxygen in order to produce ATP. NAD is also involved in the breakdown or pagsusunog ng taba or beta oxidation of fatty acids. So nakita niyo yan naka-red? These are the process of oxidation of fatty acid para pumayat, 'di ba? Minsan yun nga di tayo kumakain para magamit natin ang fat. So the fatty acids will enter the mitochondria. So may apat na stages: oxidation, hydration, oxidation, and thiolysis. So, on the third step, oxidation, dyan involved ang niacin. Niacin is also involved in pentose phosphate pathway, yung na-mention natin kanina, in the form of NADP. So, in the process, NADPH is produced, which is important in the synthesis of big compounds or biomolecules such as fatty acids, cholesterol, okay? And the antioxidant glutathione. So napaka-important ng pentose phosphate pathway and the involvement of niacin. So niacin can be synthesized from L-tryptophan. 60 milligrams of L-tryptophan can yield 1 milligram of niacin. And ang nicotinic acid, a form of niacin, has cholesterol-lowering effect. Yung iba, hyperlipidemic effect, no? According to literature. When introduced or taken at pharmacologic dose, ito ay more than 1 to 3 grams per day. So this is beyond the daily dose natin. And I think this has to be from a doctor's advice, no, or prescription. Meron pala ditong Brian Atienza. Ang name ng aking husband ay Brian Atienza. Hindi naman siya nag-enroll dito. Taga saan ka, Brian Atienza? Brian Atienza, taga saan kang university? Sige nga, paki-type mo naman. Ka-name mo si husband. Ayan. Okay. Deficiency in niacin can lead to pellagra. Ang pellagra is because of a chronic inadequate intake of vitamin D. Or vitamin niacin, sorry. Okay. Taga Los Baños ka. Taga Los Baños din ang husband ko. Ayan. Okay. So, pero kami ay taga Taal mismo. Taga Town of Taal, Batangas kami. Kung saan makikita ang pinakamasarap na tapang Taal, tsaka longganisa, kapeng barako, tsaka nandun din ang isa sa pinakamagandang Catholic Church, old church, no, in Asia. Okay? Pellagra. Ang pellagra ay characterized by 4 Ds. Ito ay dermatitis, diarrhea, dementia, at kapag di nasolusyonan, it can lead to death. So which do you think happens first? Alin sa 4D ang pinakauna? Sabi sa mga books. Ano kaya ang pinakaunang mararanasan sa apat na ito? Ito ay sintomas din ng COVID-19. O ano yon? Diarrhea. Okay, thank you, Aliana and Ed. Ayan. And Lou. Yan, diarrhea is the first um, symptom or sign ba yan? Ano nga ba ang diarrhea? A sign or symptom? Symptom is something that is felt. Sign is something that is observed. So diarrhea ay both, no? It can be felt and it can be seen. Okay. Next is pantothenic acid or vitamin B5. Ang other names are pantothene and pantothenol. Okay? Ang pantothenic acid ay naka-integrate sa structure ng CoA or coenzyme A. So, ang coenzyme A again ay nasa metabolic pathways, 'di ba? Doon pa lang sa ang CoA is a result of the decarboxylation. Acetyl-CoA is a result of um, the action of pyruvate dehydrogenase saan? Sa pyruvate, no? Forming acetyl-CoA. So, acetyl-CoA contains CoA and CoA contains pantothenic acid. And this is the structure of coenzyme A, wherein it has pantothenic acid in its structure. So, ano ang importance ng CoA? So, part nga siya ng acetyl-CoA. Ang acetyl-CoA
Alright. I think na-disconnect si ma'am. Let's just wait for her for a couple of minutes. If hindi siya makaabot, don't worry. Meron naman siyang recorded lecture as backup. So for now, hanggang 8:25 or 9:25. So let's wait for her for 2 minutes at least. Hi, Ma'am Lizelle.
Ayan, na-disconnect po tayo. So, yehey, na-disconnect tayo. Pero meron naman akong internet, hindi ko lang alam kung bakit. If ever lang, babalik ako ha. In case
Yes,
lang
ma'am.
na-disconnect. Ito. Nasaan na ba tayo? Okay, let's continue. Ayan. So, ang acetyl-CoA, it can be synthesized into bigger molecules like fatty acids. Alam natin fatty acid, it is consists of long chains of acetyl-CoA forming triglycerides. Ang acetyl-CoA din kapag nagmix pa with another acetyl-CoA can form aceto-acetyl-CoA. At ito ang rate limiting step, no? Or ito yung parang pinaka starting point. Napaka-crucial ng step na ito because it will determine whether it will proceed to the synthesis of cholesterol or the synthesis of ketone bodies. So from the cholesterol, some bile acids and bile salts and steroids are produced. Ayan. Ang niacin is also important in niacin. Pantothenic acid is also important in the synthesis of acetylcholine. Acetylcholine, kasi kailangan niya ng acetyl-CoA, no? Plus choline para ma-synthesize. And acetylcholine is important for muscle stimulation. It is a neurotransmitter. Ano bang mga neurotransmitter? These are chemical substances produced by the nerve cells, no? And then sila yung nagki-carry ng messages, no? To the target cells. So without pantothenic acid or B5, hindi makaka-produce ng acetylcholine kasi walang acetyl-CoA. So yon, maaapektuhan ang muscle function. Ayan, deficiency in pantothenic acid can lead to burning feet syndrome. Yung parang hindi lang ngimay daw yan eh. Parang mainit, masakit. So, ang ginagawa daw is the supplementation of calcium pantothenate, which contains pantothenic acid or vitamin B5. So, huwag kakalimutan, for burning feet syndrome, it's B5. So, ang pantothenic acid from the word pantos, meaning everywhere, meaning madami siyang sources, no, natural sources. And deficiency is unlikely, quite unlikely or rare. Thus, the rich source is liver, rich source. They're also in meat, again, egg yolk, legumes, and whole grain cereals. Vitamin B6 or pyridoxine. Other names are pyridoxal, pyridoxal, and pyridoxamine. The forms of vitamin B6 are the following. In coenzyme form, it is the PLP or pyridoxal phosphate. In animal tissues, it's also pyridoxal phosphate or pyridoxamine. And the byproduct or metabolite is pyridoxic acid in the urine. Ito na naman yung figure ng folate metabolism where it shows that vitamin B6 also participates in the process. Nasaan yung vitamin B6? Nilagyan natin ng bilog na dilaw. In-encircle natin in yellow. So nakikita natin dito na kailangan ng B6 para yung tetrahydrofolate ay ma-convert into its active form, 5,10 methylene tetrahydrofolate, which is important in nucleic acid synthesis. Kailangan din ng vitamin B6 para itong homocysteine ay mag-go through ng isang pathway at ma-convert to cysteine para mabawasan ang kanyang level. So mababawasan ang danger related to heart problem because of a reduced level of homocysteine with the help of the coenzyme pyridoxal phosphate or vitamin B6. Vitamin B6 is also important in the synthesis of neurotransmitter serotonin from tryptophan. This is an essential amino acid. And also for the synthesis of dopamine from the conditionally essential amino acid tyrosine. Conditionally essential because sometimes tyrosine becomes important when phenylalanine is absent. Example, in children with phenylketonuria. So in here, makikita nyo na kailangan ng vitamin B6 together with other nutrients, no, para ma-produce ang mga neurotransmitters na ito. Sila ay tinatawag na happy hormones. So tayo, we need plenty of this in this season. Plenty of them, no? Serotonin and dopamine. Kapag daw ang babae ay binigyan mo ng chocolate, sabi, tataas daw ang dopamine level kasi yon, kaya pala binibigyan ng mga girls ng chocolate, no, kapag nililigawan. Ayan, 9:30, okay? And then, also, they are inhibitory neurotransmitters, kaya relaxing ang effect. Low levels of dopamine, according to studies, are linked with what? Parkinson's disease, kung saan nawawala ang proper, nagiging stiff ang mga muscles, no? So, siguro na-discuss nyo yan doon sa inyong medical nutrition therapy courses nung undergrad kayo. Okay, at madidiscuss nyo ulit yan sa inyong ano ba yan, topic na medical nutrition therapy. Ayan. So deficiency in vitamin C can affect the nervous system, leading to depression, depressive moods, sleepiness, and convulsions. These are the rich sources of vitamin B6. Again, liver and glandular organs. Also in fish, egg, pork, legumes. Itong egg at saka legumes, nag-double ang legumes, sorry, and fish are really abundant, and liver are really abundant sources of nutrients. Ano? Okay, what is this vitamin? Steroyl glutamic acid, also known as steroyl glutamic acid, folate or vitamin B9. Other names are folacin, citrovorum factor, steroyl glutamic acid, lactobacillus casei factor, and vitamin M. Ang folate ay galing sa Latin word na folium, which means leaf. So, ibig sabihin, folate can be found richly in green leafy vegetables, in green leaves. There are different forms of folate. Merong in synthetic or fortified foods and supplements, ito yung folic acid. In foods and biological tissues na natural foods, ito ay folate. And the active form of folate, the coenzyme form is the THF or tetrahydrofolate. Tetrahydrofolate acts as coenzyme, 'di ba? Sabi natin, which is responsible for the transfer of methyl groups. So in methylation processes, or example, DNA methylation, ay source ang folate in tetrahydrofolate form. Okay? Siya yung responsible for the transfer of methyl group. Also, folate is important in production of healthy red blood cells together with vitamin B12 and vitamin C. O, tandaan nyo yan na kasi baka itanong, ano ba yung mga nutrients that are important in red blood cell formation in addition to iron, di ba? Merong vitamin B12 and vitamin C. Meron ding copper and meron ding iron. So in terms of vitamins, ito yon B12 and vitamin C. Oh, tandaan natin that deficiency in vitamin folate or vitamin B9 can lead to megaloblastic or macrocytic anemia. This is the opposite of iron deficiency anemia, kung saan itong anemia na ito ay characterized by malalaki at mapupulang red blood cells but they are immature. Mukha silang malalaki, mapupula. Pero immature sila at sabi sa literature sila hindi bilog, sila ay oblong at maikli lang yung lifespan nila. No? 'Di ba? Ang average lifespan is around 120 days. So, hindi ganun kahaba ang lifespan nila because they are not matured. Okay? And then, deficiency in vitamin B9. Ito, alam kong alam na alam nyo na. The neural tube defects or the malformation of the brain and spinal cord that result in disability or even death. The two conditions here are the spina bifida, wherein the spinal column or spinal cord fail to close, and the anencephaly or anencephaly meaning lack of brain formation. So ganun katindi, no? Ang role ng vitamin B9 or folate kasi it can also interact with the genetic material because of its ability to transfer methyl. So meron tinatawag na DNA methylation. Kaya it can affect influence the gene expression of the ones that are involved in the formation of the neural tubes, and this happens during the first early months of pregnancy. Okay? Then toxicity can mask vitamin B12 deficiency kasi pareho sila ng role in the promotion of healthy red blood cells. So parang kunwari, megaloblastic anemia, mapagkakamalan siyang folate deficiency, so magsa-supplement ng folate. Ang problem is maybe what if it's not really folate and it's vitamin B12 deficiency na nag-exist. Okay? And ang isang concept na tatandaan natin sa folate is the dietary folate equivalent. Itong dietary folate equivalent, ito yung amount of folate that is actually bioavailable or absorbed to be utilized by the body. Ito na yung combined folate um, are um, that we get from food, supplements, and fortified products. So, tingnan natin, ang 1 microgram of food folate ay nagpo-provide ng 1 microgram of dietary folate equivalent. Whereas, ang 1 microgram of folic acid taken with meals, okay, in synthetic form or as fortified food, ay nagbibigay ng around 1.7 microgram DFE. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga fortified and folic acid supplements have higher bioavailability, no? Mas na-absorb sila than folate in natural foods. At eto pa, ang folic acid in supplement form kapag tinake on an empty stomach would provide even higher dietary folate equivalent. So dapat pala ay empty stomach. Ibig sabihin before taking a meal or 2 hours, at least 2 hours after taking the meal or having the meal. Ayan. And these are the rich sources of folate. The dark green leafy vegetables, again, legumes and lentils and fortified cereals. I've also indicated here yung recommended level of fortification ng folic acid. Okay, that is 1.4 milligram per 1 kilogram refined grains. If ever lang ma-encounter nyo to in as a question in the exam. So, why is folate important among pregnant women? Alam na natin yan. Because of its role in the promotion of healthy neural tubes. Okay? For the prevention of the neural tube defects. And also for the formation of healthy red blood cells. No? That's also beneficial among pregnant women. So, vitamin B12 or cobalamin. Cobalamin is in its structure has a metal iron cobalt, kaya siya cobalamin. In food, the form of this vitamin is called methylcobalamin or 5-deoxyadenosyl-cobalamin. In supplements or fortified foods, it is cyanocobalamin. Again, this is the metabolism of folate, and as you can see, um, ang vitamin B12 metabolism of B12 and homocysteine, wherein vitamin B12 participates in the conversion of homocysteine to methionine. So nakakatulong din ang vitamin B12 to um to what's that to lower the level of homocysteine in the blood so as to protect the heart, no? Also, it's important in the synthesis of the active form of folate, okay? Uh, Um, or the synthesis of the S-adenosyl methionine, which plays important role in methylation processes. Ayan. Another key concept dito sa vitamin B12 is the role of the intrinsic factor. Ano ba itong IF or intrinsic factor? Ang IF or intrinsic factor is a protein, a glycoprotein, meaning it's a combination of protein and carbohydrate produced by the parietal cells in the stomach, wherein this factor promotes the absorption of vitamin B12 in the intestine. So what happens is there are people na merong autoimmune disorder kung saan nagkakaroon ng inflammation ang stomach affecting the parietal cells. And so, hindi nakaka-produce ng sufficient intrinsic factor, no? So, kumbaga, autoimmune, nilalabanan ng katawan yung mga parts of the body, specifically itong IF by the parietal cells. So, what happens is, hindi na-absorb ang vitamin B12. And this leads to condition pernicious anemia. So, pernicious anemia is not because of the inadequate intake of vitamin B12. It's actually the problem with the intrinsic factor, okay, that are not able to function, no, in absorbing the cobalamin from the diet. Ayun. So, ang sources ng cobalamin are meat and meat products, poultry, fish, shellfish, egg yolk, dairy and dairy products. So class, ano ang mapapansin nyo? Meron bang B12 sa gulay? Wala gano'n, no? Wala. Kaya, yung mga in strictly vegan diet, ay posible na mababa ang level of vitamin B12. Kaya, they really have to make sure na meron silang source of vitamin B12. Maybe in supplements or in products or plant products fortified with vitamin B12. So in industry, no, sa mga industries, meron tinatawag na um, bacteria na Streptomyces griseus na ginagamit in order to commercially produced vitamin B12. Ayan. So, sabi natin, pernicious anemia is a result of vitamin B12 deficiency in the body because of the presence of the autoimmune disorder. And ang result nito ay pareho ng sa red blood cell na napoproduce kapag kulang sa folate. Kaya sabi kanina, pwedeng mamask. Pwedeng mamask ng folate deficiency ang vitamin B12 kasi pareho lang ng hitsura ng red blood cells pero magkaiba ng cause. So hyperchromic, sorry for the um, wrong spelling, hyperchromic, ibig sabihin mapupula, macrocytic, malalaki na red blood cells, pero kakaunti sila and immature. And according to literature, ang treatment dito is 1,000 microgram or 1 milligram per day of vitamin B12 administered orally. Meron ding mga neurologic symptoms that are associated with vitamin B12 deficiency. Kasi nga, vitamin B12 is important in the promotion of healthy nervous tissues. So, merong mga sensation like numbness, tingling, dementia, and mood changes kapag kulang sa vitamin B12. Last on the list of B complex no, is the biotin. Ito ay tinatawag na anti-egg white injury factor because of, yun nga, the role of egg white, specifically yung avidin in egg white no, that counteract biotin. BIOS1, vitamin B8, vitamin H, coenzyme R, at idagdag natin vitamin B7 ang biotin. Okay? Ano nga yung shampoo na parang may picture ng kabayo? Ng ano yon? Anong shampoo yon? Na pampakapal daw ng hair? Anong yan, the main and rail ba? Man and tail? Main and tail. Ano ang correct? Parang correct si Nico. Main and tail. Tama ba yung spelling? Oo, tingnan nyo yon class. Meron siyang B7. No? Bakit? Tingnan natin kung bakit. No? So, by the way, ang biotin, katulad ng pantothenic acid and thiamine, ay nagko-contain ng sulfur in their structure. At sabi dito, teka, ayan. Biotin also serve as coenzyme in the metabolism of carbohydrates, protein, and lipids. Ang biotinidase no, ay, sandali ha, hindi ko makita. I-move ko. Nakikita nyo ba yung chat box na to? Naka-black siya sa, ayan. Biotinidase is an enzyme that is needed to digest biotin. It is found in the lining of the intestine, specifically doon sa brush border or sa mga finger-like projections ng small intestine. Also in the pancreatic and intestinal juices. Ito ay napoproduce din ng bacteria na tinatawag na biocytin. Okay? Although yung amount daw is not enough to meet the needs of the body. Kaya ang biotin ay considered then later on na isang essential nutrient. Ibig sabihin essential, hindi kayang ma-produce ng katawan in sufficient amount or hindi talaga napoproduce ng katawan at all. So, again, biotin is inactivated by avidin. This is the protein in raw egg whites. Ito, bakit siya meron sa main and tail? Kasi ang deficiency in vitamin B7 or biotin can lead to hair loss. So kapag mababa ang B7 or biotin helps in the development of healthy hair, not thick hair. At kapag kulang dito or deficient ay pwedeng mag-result sa alopecia or hair loss. Nakita na ba kayo ng ganon? Parang walang hair. Parang nakakita ako one time na isang nag-perform sa American Idol ba yun? Ayan. Or sa Philippine version sa Channel 2. Okay? Tapos nagkakaroon din ng scaly red rash. Ayan, in areas of the face and in the genitals. So meron ding mga neurologic symptoms like depression, lethargy, hallucinations, numbness, tingling of the extremities, ataxia or uncoordinated movements and seizures. Ito ay mga ano no, mga vague symptoms kasi it can overlap with existing nutrient deficiencies and or with other nutrient deficiencies or medical problems. So, kailangan talaga ng thorough evaluation, no? Hindi porke may hallucination, vitamin B7 ang deficient. So, we are not in the position to diagnose as future licensed nutritionist dietitian, no? We refer them to medical doctors. But, ang pwede nating magawa is to, yun nga, to do the ABCD. Alam natin yan, no? To assess the clients and then to correct the diet. And also to provide supplements as necessary. The richest source of biotin is liver, then eggs, dried soya beans, and peanuts. There are also biotin in cereals, meat, fish, and dairies, but not as much as the ones above. Ayan. Lastly, vitamin C before we take a break. Vitamin C, also known as ascorbic acid, anti-scorbutic factor, sevitamic acid, hexoronic acid, and ito, ang gandang name niya, fresh food vitamin. Ayan. Yan. I am rich in vitamin C, in Coke, in computer, in chocolate. Ayan. So the biologically active forms of vitamin C is the ascorbic acid in reduced form, and the hydroascorbic acid in oxidized form. And alam natin yan, no, in our undergrad, na ito ang most unstable vitamin when exposed to elements like heat, light, oxygen, and some metals like iron and copper. And just some additional information, no, that vitamin C can be synthesized by some animals, no, except primates, guinea pigs, and fruits. We humans, we lack the enzyme, ito, gu gulonolactone oxidase, which is needed to convert glucose to ascorbic acid. In plants, the substrate is also glucose, no? And they are converted to vitamin C. And as mentioned to you earlier, that vitamin C renal threshold, ito lang ang capacity of the body na i-retain by the kidney and to not to excrete them is up to 100 milligrams per day. Pero sabi nga ng mga studies ngayon, meron daw anti-infective property ang vitamin C. Kaya ang mga, ewan ko sa medical studies if it is um, accepted, no, the high dose of vitamin C. Some medical doctors like to some higher than the recommended 70 to 80 milligrams per day as indicated in PDRI. Kasi it has minsan 1,000, di ba? To even 3,000 because of its ability to fight infection. Okay? These are the functions of vitamin C as antioxidant. Ayan, it is a strong antioxidant. It has the ability to donate electrons to stabilize the free radicals. It is important in the formation of collagen. It holds the tissues together, no? And it is also important in the synthesis of carnitine, so collagen C, carnitine C, no, which participates in the transport of fatty acids into the mitochondria for beta oxidation. 'Di ba? Sabi noon ang pineapple fruit juice daw na ano bang product yon? It has carnitine and so nakakapagpapayat because itong carnitine are transporters, 'di ba? Of fatty acids from cytosol to mitochondria for oxidation. Also important in the synthesis of stress hormones and serotonin. No, kaya daw pala kapag under stress, important na meron tayong antioxidant vitamin C because it supports the synthesis of stress hormones and this good feeling neurotransmitter serotonin. Also, it facilitates the utilization, no, absorption and utilization of iron. Kaya partner ng vitamin C and iron eh. Kapag tinake sila, they can be taken together. Even calcium, partner din ng vitamin C. Okay? Kaya lang yung gatas, di naman natin sinasabay sa fruit juice, di ba? Parang iba ang lasa. Pero they are helping each other. And even folic acid. Okay? Kapartner din ng vitamin C. And it is an immune function effector, just like vitamin A. It helps in the promotion of healthy immune function. It is also important in the synthesis of insulin. Okay? Also important in the conversion of the oxidized form of iron, the ferric form, into the reduced form, the ferrous form, which is more available for the body, especially for the development and maturation of the red blood cells. As an antioxidant, it prevents cataract. Cataract happens when the protein and lipids are oxidized. No? This compound, when these biomolecules are oxidized in the eye, no, it can promote cataract development among elderly. And also, as an antioxidant, it helps in the prevention of oxidation of the its co-antioxidants, vitamin A, E, as well as folic acid and PUFA. So mga antioxidants, they are helping each other. Kasi in the process no, na sila ay nag-donate ng electrons, they become oxidized. They lose their ability to become antioxidant. So who will help them? Eh di yung kapwa niya antioxidant o kaya naman yung mga functional foods with antioxidant properties. Yung may mga aromatic rings, may mga phenols because they are the ones that will donate electrons to oxidized antioxidant para ma-rehabilitate sila at maging antioxidant ulit sila. Ayan. For the deficiency in vitamin C, it is scurvy. Tandaan nyo yan. At alam kong na ano nyo na yan, na encounter in your undergraduate courses. Scurvy or ito ay characterized by lethargy, yung parang listlessness and weakness, irritability, petechiae, or ito yung parang, ito nga nakalagay dito, the purple spots in the skin or mga small bruises, no? Because of the lack of vitamin C. Nag-aano, parang nag kasi ang mga capillaries must also be protected from oxidative stress. So kapag kulang ang antioxidant like vitamin C, pwedeng mag-rupture din ang mga capillaries causing petechiae, no? Or bruising, bruises, mga small dots of bruises, and then swelling and then bleeding of gums. Can also lead to anemia because of this the role of vitamin C in iron utilization, also in infection and depression. Also, anemia because of bleeding caused by rupture of the capillaries. And kidney stones naman ang result ng over intake of vitamin C, kaya hindi din siya maganda. Specifically, oxalate stones. So, eto, puwede ring maka-affect yan sa bone formation ng mga bata. Ito ay ang vitamin C can lead to a condition called frog's position. Parang ano daw, iba ang orientation ng knees, at saka ng thighs and legs. Parang ano siya, sakang or hirap, hindi maayos ang bone formation sa lower extremities. It can also lead to swelling ng thighs, painful thighs, delayed formation ng ipin or ng teeth, and poor or abnormal skeletal growth, as you can see in the picture. For the rich source, ito yung sweet red and green peppers. Napakayaman sa vitamin C. Pero tanda ko noong examination namin noong 2001 pa, hindi ko makakalimutan. Ano daw ang richest source of vitamin C? Ripe papaya, guava, kalamansi, or mango. Ripe mango. Class, anong sagot doon? Sige. Bayabas, guava, papaya. Anong papaya? Hinog. Ripe papaya class, no? Ripe papaya. One slice or 100 milligram of ripe papaya. Tama ba or one serve? I-check nyo na lang. Has around 80 milligrams of vitamins yan, enough to meet the recommended level of vitamin C per day. Buti nabasa ko rin yun. Di naman naturo sa, may review na ba kami noon? Review course? Okay. Sa QC kami nag-review ng aking mga batchmates. Naghanap kami ng ano doon, ng review center, yung CHNI ba yun? Isa yata kami sa pinakanaunang nag-review doon. Tapos naka-house mismo kami doon sa building kung nasaan ang sa mismong center. And nakakatuwa, parang teamwork kami noon. Ang saya-sayang mag-review kasi every 10 p.m. magmi-meet na kami together, mag-study kami, bawat isa ay mag-share ng kanyang natutunan at nagpapanik naman kapag nalaman mong, ba't di ko alam yon ganyan. So, and then after kami ay magpe-pray together. And that time, na-maintain naman ng UPLB ang 100% passing rate, no? Doon sa examination. Na yun yung pinaka-prayer namin that time. Ayan. Eto, trivia lang. The richest source of vitamin C in the world is the Puerto Rican cherry or the acerola cherry. Ito yung itsura niya, lifted from the internet. No? Ang taas ng content niya. Imagine nyo, per 100 grams, meron siyang 1,677.6 milligrams of vitamin C. Walang sinabi ang ating mga vitamin C rich foods dito. No? Berries actually ay rich source din ng vitamin C. Pero itong cherry has the highest amount of vitamin C. Hindi na natin maisa-isa ang recommended level of vitamins. Paki-check nyo sa PDRI. Huwag nyong kakalimutan yan ha. Pwedeng habang nagpapahinga, kwentuhan nyo yung inyong magulang or inyong kapatid na maliit or kung sino tungkol sa iba-ibang, tungkol sa level ng PDRI. Nakakatuwa minsan ng pagre-review, di ba? Kukwentuhan mo yung hindi nakakaintindi, tapos sasalita ka lang ng magsasalita hanggang maging familiar ka doon sa binabasa mo. No? So, isang tip lang yon, no? Ikwento mo yung alam mo or ikwento mo yung binabasa mo para mas maintindihan mo. Okay? So, I think mag-break muna tayo. Tama bang oras, Ma'am Marge?
Yes, ma'am. Okay na. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Yay! Okay,
Right.
sige. Break muna tayo for 15 minutes, Ma'am Marge.
15 minutes po. So please be back by 10:15 a.m.
Yon. Okay.
Break po muna.
See you later.
By the way, participants, regarding the rescheduling of your NBCD long exam, so please understand kasi yung RP natin works at the Philippine General Hospital. So you know, it has been very toxic and busy sa workplace nila. So nag-ask siya if we can reschedule his presentation. So that's why again, na-move yung ating MNT2 discussion and of course, naapektuhan yung long exam. So for those with religious restrictions, so they cannot take the long exam on a Saturday, so please know that we are allowing you to take the long exam on Sunday. Okay, so please make sure to answer the long exam on Sunday, if possible, matapos ng morning. All right? Sige, so please be back by 10:15 a.m. for the second part of Doc Lisel's presentation.